By gathering on this important day, we will join the millions of workers around the world who will mobilize on this day. We call on everyone to organize, unite, and fight for an alternative to the anti-human agenda spearheaded in Canada and Alberta by the Harper government and also this PC government. On International Workers' Day, we commend the courage for those who have been on the forefront lines of these struggles, and we recognize the past achievements of the labor movement and other people's movements in shaping this legal, moral landscape of this country.
The fact that workers still have to struggle is something that we know very well in this province. And we've seen a lot in the last few months of how a government can try and dictate its way through certain situations. And the only thing that can resist that and make governments change their mind is collective worker action. And I tell you, yes, AUPE has sort of been in the crosshairs and have been in the forefront of this struggle, but I tell you something, sisters and brothers, whether it was here and that very cold December night last year when there was a blizzard and we had rallies out here, whether it's been at other rallies and other events we've had, it's been workers pulling together, and we could not have achieved what we have been able to achieve without the support of every union across this province. And I want to give a heartfelt thanks to everybody that stood up with us. And that is the lesson of May Day. That regardless of what we do for a living, where we work, who we are, when we're union members, we stand together in solidarity, and solidarity wins the day. Happy May Day, sisters and brothers!
So, yeah, we got a few things, a few struggles going on. Yeah. I'm going to talk a little bit about Bill 45. Many of us were here when the weather was not so nice. About Bill 45 and Bill 46, and of course Bill 45 is still out there, and we are one of the unions who are pursuing it through the courts and challenging it, probably right up to the Supreme Court. It's really important to understand what is happening in terms of public sector workers and an attempt to negotiate fair collective agreements, an attempt to negotiate. Because what Bill 45 and what happened with AUPE demonstrated was a government that doesn't want to negotiate. They want to compel their version of what a contract should be on workers. And that's what Bill 45 does. Many years ago, registered nurses in this province, all healthcare workers, in fact anybody employed by Alberta Health Services now, lost the right to strike. We lost it after our third strike. We lost the right to strike. But that didn't stop a fourth strike from happening in 1988, a 19-day, totally illegal strike. We were told we couldn't vote, we had a record turnout, and a record scored a fourth strike. The strike lasted 19 days, as I said, and at the end of the day, we did achieve a negotiated contract. We were fined. We were fined 2 fines that totaled $450,000, which we thought was kind of a big set of fines at the time. So that's what the legislation has been since the late 80s and into the 90s. There were some changes to the code, but it pretty much stayed the same. Bill 45 took the penalties under the labor code and put them on steroids. The fines that we had in 1988, as I said, $450,000. That strike, if it was to happen today, would cost $50 million in fines. That's what Bill 45 did. It took the penalties that were there and it magnified them 1,000-fold. And we're not talking about Solidarity Forever being magnified 1,000-fold. The fines were magnified 1,000-fold. It's important because in this particular round of negotiations with our health employers, primarily Alberta Health Services, they came to the table, and it wasn't just a matter of saying we don't want to give you more salary. They came to the table and demanded massive clawbacks. Massive clawbacks, provisions that we've had in scheduling for 40 years and rolling us back to those. Provisions that would take away designated days of rest from our part-time employees, provisions that would remove registered nurses from being in charge in facilities across this province. So it wasn't just that they were saying, we don't want to give you wages. They wanted to claw back important provisions in our collective agreement. They knew they couldn't achieve it in bargaining. So Bill 45 was put in place really to ensure that nurses would have no option. Well, I hate to say to government that nurses always believe we have options, and we do. And we will challenge Bill 45 through the courts and as far as we have to go. But that's just the kind of mean-spirited attack we have on workers, whether they're nurses or others, here in the province. One of the health sciences members has a great shirt on that says, "Unions matter." In fact, the problem in this province and across this country is that increasingly governments don't care about unions and they don't matter.
Starting about a year ago, the government that is ensconced in this building behind me embarked on an unprecedented set of attacks on public sector workers and the unions that represent them in this province. This is an unprecedented attack that was launched by a government that just a few months before that had promised to be a different kind of government, a progressive conservative government with an emphasis on progressive. But we know that those promises that they made a little bit more than 2 years ago in order to win re-election were empty promises. And then we saw the reality very quickly. They launched unprecedented attacks on 3 fronts. First, they introduced Bill 46 to impose a wage agreement on more than 20,000 AUPE members in the public sector. Second, they introduced Bill 45 to strip working Canadians and working Albertans of basic collective bargaining rights. It used to be that it was just illegal to go on a strike, an illegal strike, but with Bill 45, it became illegal even to talk about an illegal strike. And number three, they launched an unprecedented attack on public sector pensions and the retirement security that those pensions provide to literally hundreds of thousands of Albertans. That's the bad news. But sisters and brothers, today I want to talk about the good news. Because the good news is that just a few days ago, despite Bill 46 and the government's draconian attacks on collective bargaining in this province, one of the biggest unions in this province, Alberta Union of Provincial Employees, defied this government, stuck to their guns, stood up for their members, and negotiated a fully negotiated collective agreement in spite of the attack embodied by Bill 46. But brothers and sisters, that was only one of the attacks that was launched against us. And I argue today that it will only be one, the first of multiple victories that will be won by the working class and the labor movement in this province in the coming months. The second victory that we are actually in the process of winning right now is the victory to protect public sector pensions in this province. And in the context of May Day, I want to draw your attention to 2 words that often are repeated over and over again when we talk about the working class, the labor movement, and our struggles as we recognize them on May Day. The first word is contribution. There are a lot of people who get up at microphones here in Alberta, across the country, and indeed around the world, who say that Labor Day, and more importantly May Day, is about a day to recognize the contributions that working people make to the economy and broader society. And it's true. If you look around us, there is nothing in our society, in our economy, that has not been built and sustained by the effort and the will and the strength of working people. It's not the people in that legislature that speak this. government running, this province running, and it's not the people in the corner offices of those towers that keep this province running. It's people like you, working people, who keep this economy, our society, and our communities running every day. So contribution, it's important for us to recognize and celebrate the contributions that working people and the unions that represent them make every day. So on this day, this important day of workers' celebration and commemoration, let's do what we need to do on May Day to remember our power and not be shy about using it. Happy May Day!
Well, that's what it is.
Bill 9 and 10
And then we'll
Good enough to stay. Good enough to work. Good enough to stay. Good enough to work. Good enough to stay.
Pension cuts have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! These pension cuts have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Pension workers under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Workers' pensions under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Workers' pensions under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back!
Look what happens when I think.
Defend the rights of workers! Defend the rights of all! Defend the rights of workers! Defend the rights of all! Defend the rights of workers! Defend the rights of all! Workers' pensions under attack! What do we do? Stand up like that! Workers' pensions under attack! What do we do? Stand up like that! Stand up like that! Workers' rights under attack! What do we do? Stand up like that! Whose streets?
Our streets!
Who decides?
We decide!
Whose streets?
Our streets!
Who decides?
We decide! Whose streets?
Our streets!
Whose streets?
Our streets! We decide!
Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! Who decides? We decide! Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets?
Our streets! We decide!
Democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like!
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like!
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Aside from all the police cars.
Yeah, and then I suddenly realized that woman is cooler than all.
Defend the rights of all! Defend the rights of all! So! Solidarity! So! Solidarity! So!
There ain't no power like the power of the people, and the power of the people don't stop. Say what? There ain't no power like the power of the people, and the power of the people don't stop. There ain't no power like the power of the people, and the power of the people don't stop. I can't hear you. There ain't no power like the power of the people, and the power of the people don't stop. There ain't no power like the power of the people and the power of the people won't stop.